Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. When you spot an unusual fashion trend making waves, do you ever pause and wonder if there's more to it than just a new aesthetic? Are we truly seeing something superficial? Or is it maybe a sign of deeper shifts? Things around health, our environment, and even, the technology shaping our daily lives. Today, we're exploring a fascinating phenomenon emerging from China, the rise of the face kini. What began as a pretty niche item is now, a burgeoning market. And it tells an incredibly compelling story about how people are adapting to a rapidly changing world.
Exactly. We've been looking at some really compelling reports, including a recent piece from The Economist that offer a snapshot of this trend. Our goal for this discussion, really, is to go beyond just summarizing the facts. We want to unpack its core arguments, maybe challenge some of the initial assumptions, and really uncover the multifaceted story sort of hiding beneath the surface. We'll explore why this particular item has become so popular, what it reveals about shifting consumer behavior, climate realities, and even the evolving landscape of privacy in modern society. We think it offers some surprising insights for all of us.
Okay, let's start by setting the scene then. The face kini has really established itself as a new look in China.
Yeah.
A designer sun protection face covering that's rapidly gained traction. But it wasn't always seen this way, was it?
No, not at all.
When it first appeared, it was largely associated with older women on beaches, often for very practical reasons, like avoiding a tan while swimming. It was frequently described as cheap, maybe even a bit poorly designed back then.
Right, functional but not exactly high fashion.
But then the pandemic arrived, and with it, widespread mask use became the norm.
Mm-hmm.
This really broadened the face kini's appeal, didn't it? Moving it from something maybe for old folk to a fashionable item now mainly bought by younger consumers. You see people wanting these masks to match their office attire, their outdoor sports gear, even just their everyday outfits. It's an absolutely remarkable transformation.
Quite the shift.
And when we look at the numbers, you can see just how much this market has exploded. Consider this. UV wear sales across China hit around 80 billion yuan. That's roughly, 11 billion US dollars last year alone.
That's a huge figure.
But let's get specific. For face kinis, which are predominantly targeted at women, sales actually soared by about 50% in the year leading up to July.
50%.
And for UV sleeves, which have found a strong following among men, sales literally doubled in the same period.
Doubled. Wow.
So this isn't just a fleeting moment. It feels like a massive economic shift. Established companies like Benunder, which started in Shenzhen about a dozen years ago, they're huge beneficiaries, offering entire lines of UV gear.
They've really capitalized on it.
And what's really telling is that mainstream sportswear labels you might recognize, like Anta and Lining, are now jumping into this market too.
Right. That signals it's no longer niche.
It's prime time. Exactly.
What's truly fascinating here, though, beyond just the commercial boom, is how official media outlets like People's Daily have started to weigh in on this.
Oh, interesting. What are they saying?
Well, they've voiced some concerns, specifically highlighting what they're calling sun protection anxiety.
Sun protection anxiety.
Yeah. It suggests this isn't just about the sales figures. It points to a, broader societal conversation about health choices and how individuals are responding almost collectively to these new environmental pressures. It's like the government is subtly asking, are we as a society getting maybe a bit carried away with this pursuit of protection? Is it becoming an obsession, perhaps? And what are the psychological ramifications of living in a world where sun protection moves from just a recommendation to almost a daily imperative?
Right.
It signals a deeper awareness of the need for protection, sure, but also maybe a cautionary note against overconsumerism or unfounded fears taking hold.
That really makes you consider how we, outside of that immediate cultural context, perceive these items. I mean, the article mentions the bank robber look, which, it's a vivid image, but it can sound a little dismissive, can it?
It really can.
It almost frames it as something, unusual or even suspicious.
And that's a crucial point, actually. It's where we need to challenge our own assumptions a bit. When we fixate on descriptions like bank robber look, it can, perhaps unintentionally, exoticize what is, for many people, just a very practical safety product. And it's important to remember, too, that these full-face UV masks aren't some brand new invention tied just to recent trends like TikTok. They actually predate it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, countries like Japan and Korea have, for a long time, offered similar UV face covers. Think of the Yakinu masks you might find there, for example.
Okay.
So this isn't some entirely alien concept, it's just one that's gained new popularity and visibility in a specific market recently.
Right.
And this leads us, I think, to what is often the most overlooked, but maybe the most significant driver here, the undeniable climate reality.
The heat.
Exactly. Asia as a whole continent is warming at roughly twice the global average. Just, let that sink in.
Twice the average.
And China specifically has experienced back-to-back years of record-breaking heat. So in this escalating environmental context, physical sun barriers like high UPF clothing, these masks, UV sleeves, they aren't just a quirky fashion choice anymore.
No, they become rational.
They become a rational, maybe even necessary response. It's an adaptation to a very real and increasingly intense UV reality. And from a pure health perspective, well, dermatologists have advocated for UPF clothing for years as a highly effective way to block harmful UVA and UVB rays.
All right, the bad ones.
Those are the ones responsible for aging our skin and increasing our cancer risk, respectively. So this isn't simply a social media fad. It's a high compliance method of genuine protection.
The article also touches on fair skin ideals and whitening culture-shaping demand. That certainly has a long history and cultural significance in many East Asian societies, right?
Absolutely.
It feels like an aspect that's hard to ignore in this discussion.
No, you can't ignore it. It's a significant factor. But this raises an important question. Is it just about vanity? Mm-hmm. While the desire for fair skin is undeniably influential, and we even see Chinese state media actively, confronting bias against darker complexions now.
Which is interesting in itself.
Very. But we need to look closer at who is actually buying these products now. A significant portion of this newer market includes hikers, cyclists, outdoor workers.
People spending a lot of time outside for work or leisure.
Exactly. And for these groups, the primary motivation often shifts more towards health over purely aesthetic concerns. This suggests a more profound health shift is really at play here. It's a broader move beyond just wanting a certain look to genuinely prioritizing well-being and protection from the sun's increasingly harsh rays.
So it highlights a society grappling with new environmental threats and seeking tangible solutions.
Precisely.
Okay, so it sounds like consumers are definitely eager for protection. But with such a rapidly growing market, you have to wonder about the claims some of these brands are making, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like the UPF numbers arms race is kind of brewing out there where everyone's trying to outdo each other with bigger numbers.
That's a very astute observation. And what's crucial for you as a consumer to understand is the significant difference between, let's say, marketing fluff and actual verifiable standards. In China, there's a national textile standard. It states that only products with a UPF, that's the ultraviolet protection factor, greater than 40, AND, a UVA transmittance less than 5%, are allowed to claim UV protection. These should be labeled as UPF 40 plus or UPF 50 plus core.
Right.
Anything beyond that, like these claims you sometimes see of UPF 2000 plus core, is generally pure marketing flourish.
Really? 2000 plus?
Yeah, and it should be treated with extreme skepticism. Similarly, in countries with well-established textile standards like Australia and New Zealand, reputable UPF standards actually top out at UPF 50 plus core.
So 50 plus is kind of the ceiling for meaningful protection.
Pretty much. The scientific and practical difference in protection beyond that point is negligible. So these higher claims are often just unsubstantiated.
Good to know.
So while the desire for protection is real, you should look for cited standards, not just big, flashy numbers on the packaging.
So we're protecting our skin from UV, which is obviously vital. But this leads me to another critical health consideration, especially thinking about these extreme heat waves we're seeing. Are there unintended trade-offs for the wearer? Like, could a face bikini in certain conditions actually contribute to overheating?
You've hit on an absolutely critical point there about thermal load. Here's the dilemma, right? The very best sun protection often comes from dense, tightly woven, less breathable fabrics because they block UV most effectively.
Okay, that makes sense.
However, these same fabrics can sometimes be the worst for heat protection. If you're in a scorching heat wave, the World Health Organization and CDC guidance for preventing heat stress still strongly prioritizes loose breathable fabrics.
Things that let your body cool itself.
Exactly, through evaporation. So while a face kini might do an excellent job cutting UV, it could inadvertently add to your body's thermal load,
Raising your core temperature.
potentially increasing the risk of heat stress, especially during strenuous activity or, prolonged exposure.
So design becomes really important.
Crucial. Fabric choice, how it fits, and especially the ventilation design are critical factors that need to evolve to truly make these items safe and comfortable in extreme heat. It's definitely a balancing act between UV protection and thermal regulation.
And looking at the bigger picture again, what about the environmental impact of this booming industry? Are there hidden costs that aren't immediately obvious when everyone is rushing to buy these products?
There certainly are, yeah. Most UV gear, including the vast majority of face kinis, is made from synthetic materials like polyester and nylon.
Right. Plastics, basically.
Essentially, yes.
Huh.
And the primary environmental issue with these fabrics is that they shed microfibers, these tiny plastic particles, every time they're worn, or especially when they're washed.
Oh, right. The microplastic problem.
Exactly. This contributes significantly to the growing microplastic load in our oceans, our freshwater systems, even our soil. These microplastics can enter the food chain, they accumulate in ecosystems, and their long-term effects on environmental and human health are still being actively researched, but they're a major concern.
So more demand means potentially more pollution.
Well, yeah. While this market boom offers clear benefits for individual health protection, it simultaneously widens that environmental footprint. Unless, of course, brands actively adopt more sustainable practices.
Like what?
Like using low-shed yarns or developing integrated filtration solutions for washing machines, things like that.
Okay.
Beyond the environmental and health aspects, there's actually another fascinating layer here when we consider China's ubiquitous facial recognition infrastructure.
Yeah, the cameras everywhere. How does that fit in?
Well, these full-face coverings, while primarily designed for sun protection, they introduce an interesting, perhaps unintentional friction with a system that relies so heavily on visible faces.
So people can't be recognized as easily?
Right. It's probably not about individuals making some kind of rebellious statement. It's more about the practical challenge it poses to a society heavily reliant on this technology. Interestingly, China's new facial recognition measures, which are set to take effect on June 1st, 2025, actually require alternatives to Face ID and visible signage wherever facial recognition is used.
Oh, so they're acknowledging the issue.
They are. It acknowledges the privacy risks while also ensuring the systems can keep running. But what it means in practice is that wearing a face kini will create these practical points of friction.
Like at security gates or building entrances.
Exactly. Or services where you might typically use Face ID. You probably won't be banned from wearing it, but you'll likely encounter moments where you need to adjust, maybe pull it down briefly, or use an alternative verification method.
So a subtle but significant interaction between personal choice and pervasive technology.
Precisely that.
Okay, so this isn't just a fleeting fashion moment at all. It's a really complex phenomenon with evolving implications across multiple dimensions.
Right.
For our listeners, what signals should they maybe be watching for in the future as this trend continues to develop?
Yeah, there are definitely a few key areas that would be important to track. Firstly, I'd say keep an eye on standards enforcement.
You mean checking those UPF claims?
Exactly. Expect to see more spot checks by regulators, probably more media exposés on brands making fake or overclaimed UPF protection statements. The state media has already started down this path, and consumer watchdogs will likely follow suit.
Okay, what else?
Secondly, look for continued design evolution. We really need to see better vented, perhaps mesh-paneled and moisture-managing face covers that can meet high UPF standards without trapping all that heat.
Balancing UV protection and heat safety.
Right. And this innovation will likely be driven by both dermatology research and also occupational heat stress studies. Thirdly, watch for those policy pinch points we just discussed.
With the facial recognition.
Yes. As building and transport systems implement these new rules, practical guidance on how to handle face coverings at checkpoints will definitely emerge, whether that means briefly removing them or specific protocols for verification. That'll be interesting to see unfold.
And finally,
Pay close attention to sustainability claims. You'll undoubtedly see more brands touting recycled yarns or low-shedding knits.
the green angle.
Exactly. But it's crucial to always look for independent testing and certifications, not just marketing slogans, to ensure they're genuinely environmentally friendly. The claims alone won't be enough. Verification will be key.
Okay, that's a lot to watch. So what does this all mean for you, our listener? The face kini isn't merely some quirky fashion item. It really feels like a potent symbol of our times. It represents a consumer adaptation to very real environmental challenges, things like global warming and increased UV radiation, all filtered through cultural norms, technological advancements, and even, as we've heard, some significant environmental costs. It really prompts us to consider how many of the fads we observe around us are actually rational, if sometimes imperfect, responses to the complex interconnected pressures of our modern world. And what deeper lessons can we learn about human resilience, maybe even ingenuity, by looking beyond that immediate glance? Thanks for listening. Follow us to stay updated with the latest insights on The Economist every day. And don't forget to like, comment, and share.